So we'll start off with John Clark. And John, just to remind everybody, the slides are timed to 1 minute. So if you're finished talking about the picture that's up on the screen, just say next, and I will move it along.
Okay, so this is the first time I'm doing this, so if I hope I do it correctly. These are all photos from Paris. Um, they're street photos that I took in a workshop with Dotan Sergey, who is someone who's published a few books that I like, and I hope that the photos show that interest in composition and light and moment. The moment aspect to me is more emotion, some gesture that's easily readable. This one, the moment is not as clear. Um, let's go on to the next if we can. Here, this is a woman I encountered, and she's feeding her dog some biscuit. And what I thought that was interesting about this situation was you can see her face in one frame, and you can see the dog's face in the reflection of what's going on. And I think it's an interesting juxtaposition, and the moment is this sort of feeling between the owner and her pet. Let's go on to the next. So along the Seine in Paris, the evening on the weekends, groups of people meet to dance, and people bring loudspeakers, and they project pre-recorded music. And this guy is trying to convince one of these young women that she ought to come with him and have a dance. And I think there's an interesting moment between him and the three women. And I like the background of the other dancers. Let's go on to the next. This couple is along the Canal Saint Martin, and I think their emotion is very interesting. And what really makes the photo is the guy sitting next to them on the bench, both in terms of his nonchalant air about ignoring the couple and their emotion, and the very intense exchange that they seem to be involved in, and his dark color, both of his skin and clothing, and their very bright coloring and the youth that they have. And so I think there's great contrast in the
Do you want to see
motion that they're showing
John?
versus the
John.
guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next. This is in the Plaza of the Louvre, and the women are practicing dancing as a group. And I think it's an interesting moment of the evening sun on them, and you can kind of feel the music that they're dancing to, and the very formal setting of the Plaza of the Louvre. And Pompeiy's pyramid in the background. Let's go on to the next. Oh, this photo has been cut off a little. It's more of a vertical 4x5. But in any case, what is important about it is the emotion, that these two young women are exchanging, and as they read down some kind of message or note on on one of their iPhones. And I think the juxtaposition of the two heads, and that they're both reading this message, is an interesting moment. Let's go on to the next. So this is back to the dancing along the Seine, and the couples that are actually out dancing, and the emotion that they express for what are, as I sense, pickup partners. They're a whole bunch of single people who come to this location and expect to dance with different partners, and they all seem to be having a very good time. And I like the interplay of a lot of different couples and faces and gestures that are going on in the photo. Let's go on to the next. This is in the Luxembourg Gardens. And again, it's the boy pursuing his girlfriend, and the kind of intimate moment that they're sharing, and people passing by. And I like the juxtaposition of the couple
You wanna come
versus
look at this?
people passing, and other people sitting in the chairs. And I think it's just that the moment is there, and the gesture's there. I think let's go on. Is there another? I don't know. Okay. So that's
Thank you, John. Next up, Martin.
Hello. I picked 7 photos that are unrelated to each other, that are just pictures that I liked. This one I really liked because it's a photo of our nephew, and it was taken during COVID when people were not allowed to see each other, and he came by to pay a visit so that we could see each other from a distance. And I like the idea that the metal of the car kind of made a frame that draws your eye into the center where he's sitting. So okay, you can go to the next, I guess. And this one was a it's I don't know why it's cut. This is only part of the picture, but it was a photograph that I took of the mummers uh, returning home from the parade, and I really like the idea of photographing the mummers kind of more uh, as a portrait rather than as a group. And there was a very colorful group of mummers right near me at the time that I took this. So um, this is one of the photographs from um, the Mummers Day Parade. Um, okay, next. This is also part of the picture. I don't know quite what happened to the rest of it, but there's a skateboard park in the FDR Park, and I like to go out and try to capture movement. And there were some people out there that were on bicycles rather than skateboards the day that I was there. And I really like this particular image because of the composition, but half the photograph is missing, so I'm not quite sure why. Um, okay, we can go to the next.
George, do you think maybe I should go back to the PowerPoint and see if I can bring up the full photo? What do you think?
You can, I mean, if you can do that.
Well, let me. Well, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can.
Oh, yeah, no. It looks exactly the same.
No, it's not bringing it up.
It looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the upper half of the photograph.
right. Yeah. All right. Well, I gave it a shot. Sorry.
That's okay. It's you can get the idea, but
Right.
the skateboard park has a lot of graffiti, and it's architecturally very interesting. So I thought that the composition that that created really added to the image.
Sure.
So anyway, going to the next. This was taken at an event that Unique Photo had a year or so back, and the reason I like this was because of the leading lines moving away from the boxer, who is also it's also part of the image. It's a boxer, and his gloves are missing from the photograph. But but anyway, I liked it because of the lighting and the and the distance and the perspective.
When Steven put it together, he cropped the pictures.
Yeah, it's a shame. I would have sent them differently if I knew there was an issue. Anyway, we can go to the next. This was at the Italian Market Festival, and they had performers, and I just really liked the hair in this photograph. I just thought that it really kind of captured the moment, and when I was there, and that's this one is the whole photograph. We can go on to the next. And this was done at the No Kings Day uh, out at Love Park. And I just liked the graphics of the way the sign divided the photo into thirds, and woman's t-shirt, and all of the excitement and activity that people were really hoping to get some attention and hopefully accomplish something. So, and that's the whole photograph of there. Is there any more? And this was taken of dancers in a defunct restaurant in Old City. And I just was impressed with the woman's ability to sort of get into that position, and the lighting. I just thought it was very interesting. And that is also the whole photograph. So, is there any more? Is that it?
That was it, Martin. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I hope my photos will go, because I use several photos on one slide. I don't know how it will go. But anyways, thank you first of all, for this
Excuse me for a
opportunity.
minute, Mark.
Yeah.
I lost the images. I can't see the photographs.
Oh, you
I-
can see the photograph. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't see it. I can't see yours. I
Yeah,
only
I see.
get,
Oh, now you need to play it. It's one by one.
Yeah. Can you see it now, Jeff?
Yeah, I
No.
can see. I can see now. You can see?
no, I just have all everybody's regular images.
Everybody can see the photos?
Yeah, I can see
I can
them.
see it.
Do you want to try hitting the view button in the top right corner?
Uh,
If you hit view, it'll show you a drop down. And then you can select any of you can select standard, side-by-side speaker, side-by-side gallery, and those can show you different views of what's being presented and who's present, and maybe
Yeah,
one of those will work.
it was on. I did something. I don't know what happened to it. I lost it all
I'm gonna try
together.
rejoining the meeting and seeing if that helps load up the image.
Yeah, could do that. All right.
I could stop the share and restart it with that.
Now go ahead.
That's not the
Hold
problem. Jeff needs to pick the right view.
on. Yeah, I don't know where it went. That's all. No, go ahead. Don't wait for me.
All right.
I'll see
You're
what I
up,
can do.
Mark.
Maybe I should share. Okay. Maybe I should share my screen. Okay, never mind.
No.
Can you play the show a few slides more? Okay, it's working. Okay, it's working. So since most of you are didn't see me before, I just thought I would just throw at you some of like samples of my projects that I was passionate about. Some of them are in progress, some of them are old. So this, I would say, is not a project per se. It's like everyday activity. I just like to take pictures of building or details of the buildings and turn them into something more abstract. So on the left, you can see the detail of the ceiling in the Barnes Foundation. I inverted the colors to make it look more like crossed legs, if you can see that. In the image in the building, these are windows of the Israel Museum in Tel Aviv. So it's originally was on its side, so I rotated it 90 degrees. But windows look like upper windows look like crazy eyes a little bit. So in the image on the right is a building in Philadelphia. It's a mural reflected on the screen of my iPhone. So again, it's rotated 90 degrees clockwise, but you can see that these are reflections, but it looks like an abstract cube. So the next image, if you can play that, is less of the abstract, but you can recognize the building. It's a Sierra Center or Sierra Center. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but it's most beautiful in the foggy mornings when the fog makes light bouncing off the windows look like rays of light. Okay. Okay. Next slide. So this is one. This is again this image I took during the COVID pandemics when we all were locked down. The lockdown, and so I decided to stay creative. I took images in my studio, so I decided to take photos of falling drops. These are drops of water mixed with the milk and colors. And for me, it looks like a group of people having a conversation, like in their own tiny world. Next slide.
Looks like mushrooms, actually.
Mushrooms as well, yeah. Okay. So this, you can show both images, or there are three of them. So this
Sorry for
gentleman,
John,
excuse
do
me?
you want to try hitting Control Z a couple times? It looks like there's a mark that accidentally showed up on the screen. There's a little
Control?
yellow mark that's covering up the photos.
Hit what?
Okay, yeah.
Generous, what should I hit?
Control Z to hit undo a couple times to see if you can get to the point where that mark showed up.
Control V like Victor?
No, Z as in zebra.
Oh, No, it's not.
Maybe it's on my end. I'm not sure.
What's the issue?
The
the
line,
little
yellow
yellow
line. Yeah, I don't
that's
know where
going
it took.
across.
There's a, there's a
yeah.
line right here, a yellow line on the
Yeah.
screen. I don't know
I
where
don't know.
that's coming from.
I'm sorry, what is the issue here?
Yeah, never mind. So yeah, I don't know what. Maybe it's on my fault. I don't know where it comes from, but it's probably
George, you don't see it?
no. It's not my fault. No,
What is the issue?
All right.
the yellow line in the
gentleman's-
middle.
And the gentleman in the far left of the screen, right below his nose, is a yellow line. My cursor is going
our
back and forth.
screens are all arranged differently. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the yellow line around anybody.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Interesting. But anyways, this gentleman is part of my like slowly going project that I called the Greatest Generation. He was 90 when I took this picture in my studio. He was the veteran of World War II, fought at the Pacific during the war. And so yeah, so I had the opportunity to take his pictures in my studio. And the next slide is also part of this project. These two ladies I met at the Jewish Center for Family Services, or so it's called. And so it's when I was volunteering at for the Holocaust survivors, and they showed me the letter from their uncle that fought at the Eastern Front during World War II. So he sent this letter to them before he got killed in the war, and so I thought to incorporate this letter in this image. Next slide is a different. Yeah, it's part of the new project. Actually, it's called. It's not my project. It's called Soul Portrait Project. Is dedicated to the victims of the gun violence in the United States. And so this is a lady. She's a mother of a murdered son who got murdered last year in Philadelphia. And it was actually a big story on TV. And so, yeah, so I took part of this project. I took this picture holding, so her son is on the background, but she's the main figure here. She's holding his helmet because he was a motorcycle enthusiast. And the next picture is also a picture of her holding his portrait. Next slide. Yeah, this is another tragic story. On October 7th, 23, when Hamas attacked Israeli communities on the border with Gaza, many people were murdered in their cars. And so, so these cars were collected from the scene and put into this kind of memorial that called the Wall of Burned Cars, which is exactly what it is. So I was there and took this picture. And next one would be the last, I think. Is my aerial images that I took with my drone. So this is so I take picture of landscapes as well, but I like the more abstract pictures as well. So this one is the waterfall
Looking at the picture.
near
Can you
the
Can you hear me?
waterworks in Philadelphia, and the next one is just a random crossroad that I took from above. And this is it.
yeah, thanks.
Nice.
Anthony.
Hi, everyone. I took some random photos
have the line in this.
that I kind of liked from the spring into the summer recently. And I have a theme kind of, it's at a distance. I'm not saying what the distance is, but that's kind of the theme for the photos that I selected. So this was in Ocean City, Maryland, and it was a sunset. And I just was amazed at the color of the sunset. I've seen colorful sunsets, but this one seemed to have blue and purple mixed in with the orange. We were in a hotel, so you can see to the right all the other balconies down the side of the hotel. Next slide, please. This close-up was taken with one of those extension tubes, the macro extension tube. They're very inexpensive. I think I paid $20 for it or whatever. And I wanted to try taking some close-ups. And again, with this one, I really enjoyed the color that kind of came into view. I was surprised by all the colors that showed up by getting so close. Next slide, please. I was in the back seat of a car, and normally I'm driving, but this time I was riding with someone, and this truck went by, and I just thought this was so cute to see this little character hanging on and kind of pulling the side of the truck. Just kind of fun going by. I probably wouldn't have noticed it so much if I were driving. Next slide, please. This is in New York, looking out of a hotel window, but I was amazed by all the little water towers. There's so many of them. I don't think I noticed that before, and I just love the grids from the buildings and the windows. Next slide, please. This is also New York. I wanted to photograph the Flatiron Building, and when I got there, it was covered in scaffolding, but I kind of thought it was interesting, covered in this elaborate scaffolding. So I didn't get to see it so much as it normally is, but I thought this was an interesting view of it. Next slide, please. I park in a parking garage overlooking the Delaware River, and they're covering the Delaware River between, I think it's Walnut to Market or Chestnut to Market. And it's amazing to watch the progression. I have a whole bunch of the photographs of this from the very beginning when they tore off the last cover, and now they're replacing it with a bigger cover. But it's pretty amazing and pretty intense. I think it's going to take about 5 years to cover it over, and it will be a park with a beautiful modern structure in the middle that I guess will have a restaurant and so forth. So,
Over the highway?
yeah, it goes right over I-95, and cars are moving, and construction vehicles are moving, and it's pretty amazing. Next slide, please. This was at the Metropolitan Opera, and I happened to look over the balcony. I went all the way up to the top during intermission and looked over the balcony, and this is what I saw. And it was just interesting how, to me, how the view was sliced by all these verticals, horizontals, and diagonals and spirals. Next slide, please.
Okay,
Oh, that's it. Okay, thank you.
Jeff? Can you see Jeff? Jeff, you have to unmute yourself. Jeff,
Got
unmute.
it. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Um, these are wild violets that come up in the spring in the neighborhood where I used to live. Well, I do that here too. And in my old apartment, I had lots of sunlight, but I had this breakfast nook that had like a black marble top. So I was doing a series of photographs. There's another one of these violets. It's just, I photograph everything that I can find, actually. You can go to the next. Again, the violets, it was just trying to practice my my photography in different lights and different ideas. So, and I just love these violets. I think they're amazing. Next. Again, I lived in Collingswood in an apartment complex on the 8th floor. David Swift, you know this. And when I first moved in, my neighbor friend, she said, "Oh, you're a photographer. You should take pictures every day of the city." I didn't do it every day, but I did it often. And there's several. There's two pictures here. One that I've actually shown and people have seen before, and I have three on my wall now here. So this is just a sunset from Collingswood into the city. Next. I was amazed when these great blue herons would sit still long enough for me to photograph. I actually have a whole series of these as well in different moods. And a lot of times, as soon as you walk walk near them, they fly off. And so I was just catching Newton Lake and Collingswood again. Next. This is a water lily actually at the grounds of the sculpture grounds in Trenton. I just love caught the light in the right place and just was kind of shining out there. Not much else to say about it. Next. Excuse me. I just thought this was an interesting this is in the lake actually, and the water was just so gray and just so still. There wasn't even nothing moving. So I just thought this was kind of an interesting concept of light and dark and creating its own image. Next. There's the city. I actually just found this one. I didn't even realize I had this. And the clearing of the clouds. I think it had rained or something, stormed.
Wow.
Next, if there is. Yep. Tracy, thank you.
Jeff. Tracy, are you there?
Here I am.
Good.
Hi there. Yeah, so this was a really interesting exercise to go through some photos over the years. I definitely realized I need to organize them. So, but this was from the running of the bulls in Pamplona, goodness, about 12 years ago now. So, with the running of the bulls, everybody parties the whole night in Pamplona, like all the adults do anyway. So, all the adults are literally partying all night, and then the bulls run at 8 a.m. And this was an interesting photo because it just happened to work out kind of, I was taking some shots, but I really like that these four youths were watching these older people in the arena with the bulls, with the bull there. So, and you can kind of tell it's morning light as well. But you can go on to the next one.
Woo.
So this was in Bordeaux. They have a really interesting tourist attraction called the Miro de Wa, and it's like uh, it's this really big flat sort of surface, but it sprays up some water, so people go in the summer to cool down. But it creates like this really fun misting effect. So I was just kind of hanging out there and This young girl was doing some ballet. It was just really lovely. I got a lot of pictures at the Mirador, but I like this one the most. You can go on to the next. This one is one of my favorite photos, even though the composition, I don't think the composition is there. I don't think the lighting is there. Like it's just, but this was also in Bordeaux on that trip. And I think it's a nice reminder of the importance just to walk around. And when you're able to take your time walking around, I was just meandering through the streets and happened to catch this cat. It kept messing with its owners. Like it kept running out onto this awning. And you can see the two of them laughing at it because it kept running out and then it would run like jump back in to the apartment, like it had the zoomies, and then jump back out and run back across the awning. And it did it like 4 or 5 times. It was amazing. Um, um, so I just liked it felt like magic being there to catch it at that moment, even though I don't necessarily think it's the best composition or lighting, but it was just really fun to see. I felt like I was watching a TV show. Like, okay, you can go on to the next. We went to Cartagena in January 2020, and there's a big vendor culture there. There's just a lot of people vending their goods and wares throughout the day. So I had gotten up early just to take some photos. And I quite liked the facial expression the gentleman in the middle was giving to the gentleman on the left-hand side of this screen here. So just thought it was a fun moment in time that I'm sure lasted, literally a second. So, but you can go on to the next one.
Uh-oh. There we go.
So I had gotten to go to Glendalough in County Wicklow in August 2019, and they have an incredibly old monastery there. I think it's from the 1500s or 1200s. And it's just really beautiful. And you can see, the roof is clean off. And the horizontal stones in the foreground are actually burial sites as well. But I just thought it was an interesting line from where the roof had been the through the frame. And I quite liked having the gentleman there kind of walking on
nice.
his way out to give some scale to how big this remaining part of this building is.
Okay, go
You
ahead.
can go on to the next one. So this was, and another thing that I thought was interesting throughout this exercise was the pictures that you just saw were not typically the pictures I take or even like. I normally do, or at least I thought I normally did portrait nature photography. But this is one of my favorite shots in ages ago in December 2011. I had been living in New Zealand for a little over a year, and my friends and I were hiking the Abel Tasman track, and we had camped the night before on this beach. So when we woke up, when you're camping, you wake up with the sun. So the sun woke us up, and I popped my head out of the tent and thought, let's just the lighting, the morning morning golden light, and it's just beautiful down there. If you've ever been to New Zealand, you just can't take a bad photo. It's just all beautiful. So, but you can go ahead to the next one there.
Oh, the Northern
And
Lights.
then what was that? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard someone say something. So in December 2018, I went to Iceland and that was a really fun trip. That trip I went by myself with the sole purpose of it was just a photography trip. And I got to see and experience the Northern Lights and take some photos. So that was fun to get to prepare for, as well as get to practice. I had never really done any sort of, not that I hadn't done long exposure photography before, but nighttime long exposure photography. This was my first go. And it was also just amazing to see the Northern Lights. Yeah, really, really beautiful, but I had gone with a tour group for this just because, I didn't know how, or just for this day. But yeah. And then you can go on to the next one. And then this one is probably my favorite photo I've ever taken. So it was on that trip in Iceland, and I was driving from Eastern Iceland out to Western Iceland, and I was on the lower road. Well, I guess there's really only one road to get from Eastern to Western Iceland, and I had pulled over to take a look at this waterfall, Erdafoss, which wasn't really on any travel itineraries, just happened to maybe see a sign for it and pull over. And certainly not like the other waterfalls that, have a great big fall. But it was really wide. And because it was so wide and didn't have that great big fall, it had created these moments, these ice moments. So I really love the texture that the frozen ice had created. And I did a long exposure here with some Nisi filters to get that continual movement of the water behind it. And I just really love the contrast between not only the darkness of the rocks and the lightness of the ice, but the textures that the ice has created against the contrast of the smoothness of the water behind it. So. And I believe that's my last photo. So thank you.
Yes. All right. I believe, Generous, I believe you're the last presenter. So if you're there and ready to go.
You got it. So this first one was taken in 2016. This was at the New Museum in New York. There was this probably one of the most amazing installation exhibits I've ever seen by this I can't remember. I think she's Swedish. Don't quote me on it. I think she's Swedish. Her name is Pippi Lottie-Rist. And she had this installation called Pixel Forest. And at this particular section, there was a projection going up on the wall in front of these individuals. And the way these two friends sort of were looking at each other and having a moment just felt very beautiful to me. And this was taken on 35 millimeter film. You can go on to the next slide. This is honestly one of my favorite photos that I've ever taken. I lived in Newark, New Jersey for 8 years before moving to Philadelphia. And so I was frequenting Newark Penn Station pretty often throughout that time. And this was taken on during a sudden torrential downpour in, I believe, 2018. I color corrected this a bit in Lightroom, but this was originally taken on 35 millimeter film as well. And the detail that I appreciated the most is the person on the far left there with this pale pink umbrella just getting scattered to the wind. I always really enjoyed that. Next slide, please. This was taken in the Pine Barrens in summer 2016, 17. Sorry if you hear my dog. This was during a music festival that my friends were hosting out in the Pine Barrens. This was in Hamilton, specifically in their Paradise Lakes campground, and I just really loved the idea of this tiny little space being marked private where the rest of that area is public. And this was taken, I believe, on medium format. Next slide, please. This one was also taken on medium format. This was at that same music festival. I loved the details of the red shirt in the foreground and the red sweatshirt in the background against all of the brown clothing and the neutral tones going around. Next slide, please. This was also in Newark. I used to live very close to Branch Brook Park. It was my favorite place in the whole city. I went there frequently. This is one of the only digital photos that I have here, I think. I just decided on a whim to go to the park with my busted old DSLR camera that I don't use anymore, and just walked around because it was really nice. It was foggy, humid, terrible conditions, and we had just had a storm. And this tree that I had passed all the time in the previous years had gotten hit by lightning, and so half of it on the left side there had died, and then the rest of it was still standing. And I thought it looked really devastating, but also quite beautiful, and so I took this photo. Next slide, please. This one I took in November 2022. I had just had a very unfortunate breakup and needed reasons to be outside and be social. And a friend of mine was throwing a birthday party that was also a house show for the local Philadelphia music scene. It was very poorly attended. There were maybe 15 of us there, including everybody who was performing that night. And at a certain point, the last band, Bristol Tooth, just kind of went all out. They were performing all over the living room there. Some of them got on the couch. This particular person is the lead singer of that band, and he just laid down on the floor and had a moment to himself. And I was like, this feels very magical. And so I snapped this photo of him on the ground. Next photo, please. This one is very recent. This one I took 2 months ago after Porch Fest here in West Philly. I was just walking around and I happened upon this chair that I thought made a very beautiful frame for the rose bush in the back. So I just snapped this real quick with my 35mm and carried on. And I felt very lucky to have stumbled upon it. Next slide, please.
I think
So the last one. All right. There you go.